McClunky.
What year is it?
We're starting? We're
Yeah.
starting?
Huh?
McClunky, folks. Jesus. Where are you, man? I said that like 30 seconds ago that I'm starting the
Well,
music.
I was in the middle of watching a Jamiroquai video, so...
Well, goddamn, you gotta stop fucking virtual insanitying yourself. Oh my god. Welcome, everybody, to our Season 2, Episode 27 to 30 Bad Batch discussions.
Hello.
Been a little bit
what's up,
behind
guys?
on these episodes, but we're finally here to catch us all up to speed on what we've missed.
Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
It's me. I'm from New Zealand.
I wish, honestly, if we had some people from New Zealand on this show, that would
Bro,
probably be
I
like-
wish I had their accent. Like, that. They have the fucking nicest accent I've ever heard.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Do you guys actually know anybody from New Zealand?
I do.
You do?
I've got a good friend from New Zealand.
I'm jealous.
You do a really good Australian.
Yeah, that's a good accent. I'm not gonna lie.
She moved over there from Boston. Never came home.
Hey, Nolan, how you doing today, man?
Nolan.
Nolan Creed. It's like inherently like a Star Wars name, and I love it. Alright, so we're gonna try our best to kind of go through these chronologically. I think we're gonna jump around a little bit, I imagine, but...
So, fucking Pabu.
No, we're not gonna go to Pabu first. Unless you guys want to get that one out of the way. I'd be fine with that in that sense, but...
That episode fucking sucked.
Let's just say, as soon as 1 to 6 came on, I was like, fuck this episode.
I
hate it.
hate her, and I hate every time she's on this show.
I'd still
It
say
came
this
out of
episode-
nowhere, and now they're trying to make her some fucking important character, and I hate it.
Well, they're not
Every-
even really
every
doing
time
enough
she's
effort
there-
to do that, though, is the problem. Like, that they're like, oh, she's important, but she's not really. Like,
Yeah,
she's-
yeah, exactly. But like, she came out of nowhere. Anyway, back
she
to the
really
beginning. That's
Only
the thing.
had like 2 episodes. Is the problem with the show has like a thing where I was like, you introduced, I don't even remember her fucking name. Is the problem? Wanda Sykes. You introduce her, and you introduce this whole
I will
problem
be right back.
between-
I think my dog just shit on the floor.
Perfect. You introduce her and this whole conflict between Sid, and then don't really do anything with it. I mean,
How many episodes are left?
2 more. Last week is the last week of the show.
And yeah, and they've done nothing with this. And like, this Wanda Sykes character is boring. Every time she's on screen, I swear to God, Wanda Sykes drank a bottle of NyQuil before doing her
Yeah,
lines.
she sounds so unlike Wanda Sykes whenever she shows up that it's insane.
She has zero enthusiasm for this. It's like she straight up doesn't want to be there. And every time she speaks, I just want to turn the TV off. I hate her character, and I hate the way she voices her character. It's awful.
I think that, like, the Sid stuff, like, what it's leading to potentially is, like, maybe in these next 2 episodes, like, it has to be in that time frame, unless it's, like, a next season thing. She, like, is going to be confronted by this guy, the new evil guy that replaced, I can't even remember anybody's name in this show, honestly.
Yeah.
New creepy Imperial guy who replaced other shitty Imperial guy from earlier. Rampart was that guy's name.
Yeah, now it's like the doctor guy.
I think that what it's leading to is pretty much just like that Sid is gonna be confronted in the next episode and betray them. How she will know where they are is beyond me, but yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever.
I'm over this show. I'm no longer enjoying it. Even the best moments are so sandwiched in between awful moments that I just don't care anymore.
See, and
I
here's the
don't
thing, Richard.
like if this is renewed for a season 3. I don't think
it
I'll be watching
absolutely will be renewed for season 3.
Ugh.
I think that, like, what's crazy though, Richard, is that, like, our different takes on it. Because, for example, Pabu, even being kind of like a meh episode, I still think is a pretty good episode. Because it still sets up things of, like, we're not having to, like, be constrained by Sid. And we're not having to, like, go there. We can have this new kind of hub place, unless it gets fucked up in the next episode. But
I mean,
Yeah.
if nothing else, that episode showed that Pabo is like the worst place to make your hub.
is it though? Like,
Yeah, dude, they landed there, and then everyone there's like, "Oh, check it out, we got a little island paradise here." And then they're like, "Oh, nice, this is pretty cool. Maybe we can hang out here for a little while." And then they're like, "Oh, here comes the worst tsunami we've seen in 20 years. We're all gonna die." Instantly.
well,
Well, that's like
The moment
that's
they
like
get
the
there,
weird thing is that, like,
that's a plot
they're, like-
convenience problem, and I'm not really
yeah,
like,
because they land there, and it's like, oh shit, like, we haven't had one of these in 30 fucking years, and it just happens to be on the exact same day you fuckers
it's
show
so
up.
stupid. And in a galaxy like Star Wars, you're telling me they don't have, like, they all settled on this island and they have no defense against tsunamis? None?
I don't know, like, on that kind of front, I just think that,
What are
like,
they gonna do? Shoot it?
like
They can put up
think
a
that-
shield.
Sure beans, but I just think that like you show that kind of thing, and it just shows that like nature always overcomes like that kind of thing. I think that showing you beating nature is kind of a meh, if anything, right? Like
I think it shows that the
we've
people
beaten
that settle on
earthquakes.
We figured out how to stop earthquakes, guys. I don't know, like that's too much. For me.
I like how we said we were gonna like, do this chronologically.
No, I
and
mean
then
if
straight
we
up
want to
Pabu
go to Pabu, it's fine.
as a joke.
Look, the Pabu shit sucks so bad. I just can't. I cannot
am
forgive them
totally
for this.
on Richard's side though. I fucking hated Pabu.
That episode was goddamn ridiculous, and none of it makes any sense. In a universe where they have laser swords and they are cloning people, and the characters in this show are literal clones, you're telling me that they still have dummies that build homes on the bottom of an island in the middle of an ocean and don't expect something bad to happen? Like, as a guy who grew up on the coast and had to deal with hurricanes like yearly, that's just the dumbest shit you can do. Like, let me just like build an entire civilization up on one island where 90% of it is below the line that the waves are going to hit.
Hold on, though, Richard. Hold on. You're saying that, and then like at the same time, though, a lot of people live in trailer parks where like that shit gets picked up by a fucking hurricane. So it's like no one's learned. Like, what do you mean?
Sure, but people that don't choose to live in trailer parks, they do as necessity.
People don't choose to live on the bottom floor of Pabu. That's just where they're at.
I mean, they did though.
They absolutely did.
Apparently they did. You're right. They're all refugees, apparently.
Pabu or whatever is a destination. You go there.
It's not. I mean, not really. Like it's like they said, it's kind of a refugee like hiding place. Where it seems where it's like.
I don't,
people that-
dude. If I were born on this shithole island, and the moment I like gained consciousness at like age 4, I would be like, we got to get off this fucking rock.
You gained.
They're all-
at 4. I gained at
You know,
2.
whatever. Whatever. So, I don't know how old I was,
Thanks, Joe,
dude.
for subscribing, man. Appreciate it.
I'm just saying the island fucking sucked. It's stupid to live there, and anyone I just can't. I could not suspend my disbelief enough to think like that anyone with a rational human brain thinks that this is a good place to live. Like, what do they do for food? How does
They eat
agriculture
fish.
work here?
What do you mean?
They only
Anyway,
eat fish.
metamorphosis.
They
No,
only
Richard,
eat fish.
I don't know, man. Like, there's a bunch of planets in Star Wars where it's stupid shit like that.
Sure,
Where
but they're stupid.
Kaminoans eat? they have
Kaminoans
a water
aren't
planet.
human. They're not. They are Kaminoans. The Pabu was populated by humans who need food, not just fish. You can't just eat fish.
Maybe the humans in Star Wars can. I don't know, man. They evolve differently. I don't fucking care.
That whole episode was goddamn ridiculous. Putting Omega out on the water just to have a wave happened, and then we have
a dog.
we have
The-
the most
the worst-
elite clone soldiers in the galaxy dealing with a fucking wave. Is like, this isn't what I want to watch.
Here's the thing that I will say. The worst part about Pabu, and you guys are going to totally disagree with me about this, the worst thing that Pabu did was show how bad the water effects are in the show. Like, I only noticed it after the fucking wave, but like every time I see water now in this show, it looks horrible. It
You
looks,
know what I think they could have done at any point when they were on Pabu?
it looks like cloth being thrown on something. It's fucking weird.
See, what I would have done in the event of a tsunami on
that is
this
a
little
cloth
place
bag.
that I'm in is I would have gotten in my my fucking spaceship.
Yeah,
Go up.
but like compare this episode with like the water effects to the water effects of like last season's Kaminoan episode. There's obviously a downgrade there.
Something happened. Like, I don't know. They didn't care about the Pabu episode for water effects, but actually, even in the tipping point episode, it carries over a little bit. Like, I've been fucking fixating on water now.
It's not water actually. It's a different kind of.
It's
liquid,
just like a thick fluid. That's why it's so weird and viscous. I don't.
Anyway,
like
let's
it.
go to the real beginning of Metamorphosis.
Yeah, let's go to the good episodes of the show that we're actually.
I thought Metamorphosis was dope.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
thought-
cool as fuck.
I thought it started really cool and then it fizzled out. Like, I really liked the beginning when they're on the ship and it has like the whole like alien vibe to it.
Yeah.
We're seeing the clone commandos getting wrecked, which for some reason seems to be a common theme in this series when they're supposed to be the best of the best.
Yeah, they're like really downgrading the commandos. It feels.
The commandos are supposed to be like on par with the Bad Batch.
Although it really, I feel like animated shows do that a lot of the time, and it pisses
They
me
do.
off. Like they did that with the Death Troopers and Rebels, where they really just made them into just normal troopers that were just
yeah, and
wearing
you know,
black armor.
I can let that go. It's what it is. It is what it is. But I liked watching that episode until around the end when it just turns into a Godzilla movie.
So that's what I was going to ask, Richard. Like, do you have any connection to this? Like, do you remember the Zillobes from Clone Wars? Yeah.
No.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I like.
So
That-
this is the second Zilla Beast that the
Yeah.
Empire possibly has.
Like they cloned the original, possibly, or like for sure. I think is what the implication is with the baby
Yeah.
version of it. But yeah, so like
Why?
the Zilla Beast showed up in Clone Wars during the arc where they're on Sebulba's planet. I can't remember what the fuck they're called right now. The Dugs, I think. And they uncover this giant Godzilla Zilla Beast monster. Yeah, and bring it back to Coruscant where it wreaks havoc and honestly switches from Godzilla to more of a King Kong story where it kind of is like sad that it gets brought down at the end. But
Is there like a reason why they're taking these dumb
We don't know.
monsters?
in theory,
because they're fucking powerful.
yeah, well, like their armor is like impenetrable. So like there's theories around like what they're using for that, but apparently that never goes anywhere, right?
Their armor is actually early versions of Beskar.
Whatever.
Like imagine like you hear about that as a stormtrooper. You're like, they have the capability to make some impenetrable armor for us, and we're sitting around with fucking chromium armor.
Plastic. Yeah.
Jesus Christ!
I liked the little bits of horror elements in the beginning, and I wish the entire episode was that way instead of it just turning into a kaiju thing. The moment that it's like that Hunter's like, it's going towards the town. We gotta stop it before it kills anybody, and then it doesn't kill anybody. I'm like, all right, it's just gonna climb up a tower and get big, and then die.
Not even
Just doesn't
really
do it-
died,
doesn't
just
do
get-
it for
get
me.
Taken away.
Gets taken away, and they're like, I don't know, man.
I also
I'm just
Generally
so
like
fed
that
up
and
with
stuff,
this
'cause
show.
I thought it
And
was
all
so
of them are just
cool.
like, "Oh man, I wonder what the Empire's gonna do with that one." And then move on. Now we're going to Pabu now.
I
I'm
thought it was
over it,
dope.
man.
thought
I
it was
hate
a
this
really
show
good
now.
episode. Richard's like the most.
Dude, I'm sorry. Like I don't want to be like a negative Nancy, but there are episodes in season 2 that I think are striking and really good. But I think 90% of season 2 has been a goddamn children's show.
Oh, I would say that if you
And
went back and watched,
I don't have the
season one as
patience
well,
for
like,
it.
I think that like most of that was also like kind of up and down in
I
the same.
think
Maybe,
I
but-
think Richard, it might be a children's show with little
Yeah,
bits
for
of
sure. For
adult
sure. I mean,
content.
that's the thing is it has the same confusion that Star Wars has always had, where they can't decide if it's a children's show or not. Because there's some elements of this that are not for kids, but it's ultimately what I ended up feeling from the Bad Batch, and like season 1 I enjoyed for the most part because I felt like it was going somewhere, and now we're almost at the end of season 2, and I feel like this show has gone and is going nowhere.
That's been
It's
my
just-
biggest problem for sure with the whole thing.
It's
I feel,
spinning its wheels in the sand, and it's not moving. And we're 2 seasons in, and I don't care anymore. I don't care
But,
about these
like,
characters.
if I'm
I hope
being
they all
honest,
die in a wave.
I feel that way almost with Mandalorian as well right now. Like with being at episode 4 of the season 3, I'm like, well, we're like doing nothing. I feel like right now both of these shows are pretty aimless for being shows that seem to have a huge direction at the very beginning. Like even Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, when they were talking about Mando, they were like, when it was starting, they were like, we have a plan, we know what's up. And I think that they honestly just said that because they knew that people were mad about the fucking no plan for the trilogy.
I think that they do have a plan. I can see an outline of a plan in Mandalorian. Like it's very clear to me that they're reestablishing Mandalorian culture so that they can reset the future of what Star Wars is going to be. That's pretty obvious to me. This
But, like,
show, on the
it's
other
just-
hand,
it's
is like,
like-
what the fuck is the point of this?
It's taking its well, I mean, then in that case, I could say the exact same thing with this. It's showing like the setup for where like the clones go in the
They die, all of them.
Well, yeah,
And
but, like,
we know what happens to the clones. There's no more of them.
Like, don't get me wrong. I enjoy seeing like, okay, there is a setup for like a slight clone rebellion. Maybe the clones tie into the start of the rebellion. but
I have more interest towards
They all
that
die.
stuff,
We know that.
honestly, than I do with Mando right now. Like, I'll be totally honest. Like, Mando right now is kind of middling for me, where I'm like, oh,
That's weird because I'm the opposite.
yeah, like
Same.
this show for me is like actually interesting and like doing things in an era where I'm like, oh, we haven't really been in this era a whole lot, and yeah, we haven't really been in after Return
Because
of
I
the
don't
Jedi
think
whole
people
lot,
give
but-
a shit about it.
We've been in the Bad Batch era significantly more than we've been in the Mando era.
Yeah, but like the Mando era, they're not doing enough with it. I feel like this era is like filled with characters that can like do shit, and then in the Mando era, all we're getting is a fucking Avengers Thrawn movie, or not movie.
Well,
but, like,
that's a bold assumption, though. We don't know if that's going to be the case yet.
it's so clearly where they're going with this to me. Like it actually,
I don't think that at all. But I mean, if it does go there, then it goes there. At the end of the day, I'm more excited about Mando because what they're laying down in Mandalorian is the foundation for future Star Wars movies. Whereas with the Bad
Potentially.
Batch, it's just more of the same. and I feel like it pales in comparison to the last few seasons of the Clone Wars, like badly.
See, you missed out on this yesterday. We were talking about this before you joined. I was actually saying that this show surpasses easily Clone Wars for me.
Oh my god!
Easily.
Yeah, I had the same reaction, Richard. I think
That's
because like
insanity.
Clone Wars is like honestly
he's
like,
on crack right now.
if you were to put someone down and make them watch Clone Wars, like I think that they would be like meh. Like you'd have to fucking focus it on certain arcs and be like, this is this.
Well,
this,
sure,
this.
because there's a lot of it. Like
Exactly.
even I'm watching it, and I'm
It's
filtering out.
unfocused.
I'm filtering out the bits that are filler episodes. But I think the Bad Batch is not only is it also unfocused, but it's also aimless and pointless. It doesn't exist for a reason. It's just here. It's 2 seasons in, and I have no freaking clue what the point of any of this is, other than to just show us that there were some messed up clones.
There's some weird freaks.
I think
And like
it's
I
their
don't even like
opportunity
them
to,
as
like,
characters anymore.
It's
as
like the
as characters
Legends-
now, I'm sick of them. I think
People-
they're stupid.
People want to see like that clone rebellion that was brought up in Legends and stuff like that the Kaminoans did. That didn't happen exactly in that capacity, but they're changing it slightly to make it still interesting and stuff. So I think that like
There's just so many things in Bad Batch that don't make any sense to me. Like, why on earth is Sid even a threat?
Yeah, Sid is a fucking nothing.
and I think you went for an Astro shit for a second there, AJ, but we were saying how like in this season Sid, like if they were gonna do what they're setting up and make her like turn on them or whatever, like they should have done that already. Like we have 2 episodes left.
because like Sid
I
is
don't
like,
even know what
such
she
a
can
no,
do.
like such a non-threat right now. Like
Well, because like we were
Right.
saying that like she has like information about them, sure, but she doesn't know that they're on fucking Pabu. Like what is she gonna do?
Yeah,
don't
and
know,
like
man.
on top of that, like aside from the fact that Sid is like physically not a threat, they could literally kill Sid whenever they wanted to.
Yeah.
What does Sid have on them?
Oh,
She
just
knows
they're,
that they
clones of
exist.
99. Like they
There's
have
a whole bunch of people that know they exist.
apparently not though, because in this season it's been set up. I think that like at the end of last season, it was I don't know who it was. Someone said they died. Like that's what was.
No,
That's
dude,
why-
the Empire's actively looking for
No,
them.
no.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of the season, like that's why Rampart like killed that one clone because he said that Clone Force was alive.
Yeah, but in this last episode, they're clearly looking for them.
Yeah,
Therefore, Sid has nothing on them.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that they're gonna like go to her and like do that. They
That-
didn't think that.
And then
they
do
were-
what?
They
She's gonna be
didn't
like,
think
I don't
that
know
she
where
was
they are.
that they were alive before, but now they know because of Lama Su or whatever his fucking name is.
So if we're being realistic about this, like let's say Sid does have, I don't know, the fact that they're alive and the Empire wants that and the Bad Batch is
agree
afraid that they're
not
going to
gonna
give
be
that
able to
away.
get to Pabu. Like she doesn't know about Pabu.
Even if she gives that information up, it's like, okay, then what? What does the Empire give a shit about these
they're gonna
clones
go to
for?
Pabu and they're gonna
Well,
like
because
have like
they
a
want-
huge
they want
fight on
Omega.
Pabu or some shit, and it's gonna get destroyed.
Richard, you gotta pay attention to the show, man. They want Omega.
Yeah, I know that they want Omega, but it's aside from the fact that like that's dumb. Omega's just a plot MacGuffin. Who cares? It's Omega is the worst character in the show, and I just don't understand why Sid is even in any capacity a threat. They could, if they wanted to, and they wouldn't do this, just kill her. And beyond that, they could go anywhere. They've shown time and time again that all they got to do is hit hyperspace, and they're away from the Empire. Hit
Yeah.
a button, poof, you're gone. The Empire can't track them in the middle of space.
Not until the sequel trilogy, unfortunately.
I don't want to say that I hate the show. I don't think that's fair. But I do think that 2 seasons in, I'm beyond frustrated with this show. We're 2 seasons in, and I don't think we've made any progress.
Well, let's
at
talk
all.
about something better than The Outpost.
Which one was that?
That's
That one was
that's
the Crosshair episode.
That was a great episode.
I love that one.
This is
That was
like,
a really good episode.
probably in the top 5 best episodes. Of
That's
the show.
like Crosshair is like the story guy right now.
It irks me
He
because
really
he
is.
only got 2 fucking episodes this season, and they were both really good.
They're the best and arguably the most adult. That's the thing, though. Like the 2 Crosshair episodes, not for kids.
Yeah.
They're just not. This episode in particular was amazing. I think that they kind of rushed Crosshair, like regaining sympathy for the clones. That happened a little too fast.
Well, because he should, like, he
But I
should
did
have been
like
in
it.
more episodes. Like, if he had been a little bit of a thing where every 3 episodes or something, or I don't know, every like few, we got a fucking Crosshair situation and see him go more and more like onto that side, I'd be like, okay, cool. I totally agree that it was a little bit rushed, but like, fuck.
Yeah. It was good to see him kind of regaining a little bit of a sense of self, and I did love that he murked old boy.
Yeah, he killed that Kevin Bacon looking motherfucker.
I was so okay. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Hold up, let me fucking look at this guy again. That's like such like a random poll. Okay, it kind of does. That's really weird. Holy shit. Okay, well, if we ever get a live action this guy before he died, he's Kevin Bacon.
He's Kevin Bacon for
Oh
sure.
my god, that's so good. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was like a lot of it was like you're saying, adult themes and shit like that. Even down to like the moment where the one clone like learned that it was just fucking armor that they were protecting and shit like that. Like that felt fucking deep, dude. In that moment, I was like, kids watching this are not getting this. Like they are not getting these adult themes
for sure. Yeah, and
I
do really like showing the clone stuff and how the clones are being treated, because that's unexplored lore, and I do appreciate that. And I like everything with Crosshair in it, but like the Bad Batch themselves, I don't care what happens to them anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
Other than Wrecker. Wrecker's kind of pure, but the rest of them, though, God, I don't care. I do care a little bit about what Echo was doing.
Yeah. Echo is doing some cool stuff.
Echo's actually doing meaningful shit, while the Bad Batch
Echo's always doing meaningful shit because he's
travel around the galaxy doing nothing.
Well, I think that's like the problem with them right now, right? Is that I think they need to find that that's what they need to do. But it's
I agree, but they should have found that in episode 2 of this season.
Like, I mean, like maybe that's the theme of this whole season, and then like it'll end with them being like, "Hey, we're gonna join the fight," and season 3 will be fully about that. But then I just feel like season 2 is then like you could look at it and be like, well, that was a fucking, I don't know. I wouldn't say a waste of time, because it's kind of what I was saying with my want for Mando to not have Grogu for a season. Like I want a season sometimes to actually have these characters be like,
well, they gotta sell the toys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I'm okay with certain seasons being a bit of a, I don't know how to word it, like kind of just a lull, if that makes sense.
I'm
like
okay with seasons being like a deep part of like the norm, just for the sake of like a future story. But like still make it interesting for guys.
Yeah, you gotta like do things like, especially with what they're set, like you can't set things up like the Sid thing and then not really do anything with it. And if
it's been dragged out for so long too, like
we hate been like
Sid. Like when did that should have announced that on one episode, and then the next episode.
That was like at the very beginning.
That was 4. 4 was the 4 they even fucking had Sid, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna be cool with you," but then they threw away with that whole thing. You know what I mean? Like 2 episodes later, she was an asshole again. So it was like, the fuck.
Literally everything involving Wanda Sykes' character could have just been removed.
Yeah, really.
Like if I see her in an episode, I know the episode's going to suck.
How do you guys feel about like her and Tech's sudden romance brewing?
What?
I didn't even notice
that.
The fuck you talking about? You're shipping things that don't need to be shipped, man.
That is not me shipping that. That is so obviously being thrown into the face of everyone.
Let me
the only
look
thing
this
that
up.
I caught was she called him brown
eyes, and like
they all have brown eyes.
She's seductively calling him brown eyes, and they're like flirting and hanging out with each other. You are crazy if you didn't. You're like.
I don't think that her calling him brown eyes is important. I think that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek reminder that they all have brown eyes.
I think that she's specifically calling Tech that every time and being like beautiful brown eyes, pretty much. Like I'm telling you guys right now, this is the same situation with Jon Snow and Daenerys meeting for the first time, and I was like, they're gonna fuck, and then my cousin was like, no, they're not. Yeah, they're gonna fuck.
Honestly, don't care.
Yeah, like for real, I do not give a shit.
I think I think what's gonna happen is that Tech might die, and then that might
like they're gonna have a beautiful romance, and then Tech is gonna die an agonizing death, and I'm not gonna give a shit.
I'll give a shit.
I don't care at all. I think we've been saying since like the second episode we thought either Tech or Echo was gonna die, and now it's for sure Tech.
It's got like Tech.
I sincerely hope that it's
turn after him, so like he's gonna die, and then they're gonna be like, that's how we'll remember it.
I really hope that Wanda Sykes' character dies with him.
Yeah, I hope she burns.
I hope that would be pretty good, actually. I'd like that.
I'd like that too, just so we can get these two awful characters off screen forever. Because Tech is the worst character in the Bad Batch, for sure.
I thought you said Omega was.
I thought
Omega I don't even count as Bad Batch. She's just a plot MacGuffin. Hunter's the leader, dude. He's the Leonardo. He needs to be there.
Okay, I think I find the Hunter to be the meh one, if I'm being honest. My list is like Wrecker. There's only so many fucking people on this team now.
My list is Echo, Hunter, no Wrecker, Hunter, Crosshair, Tech.
I think like if we're being like realistic with what they can do, Hunter, Wrecker, and Echo are the only useful ones.
Yeah.
Like, Tech is useless.
Yeah.
Like what? What's his power? He's smart.
He just knows way more shit than everyone else.
Like fucking super. They could get anybody to do. Echo can already do half
Hunter
of
just
it.
has spidey senses. That's like his whole power.
Yeah. Well, that's a pretty damn powerful power though. Like the dude could smell shit from miles away.
And I was chasing his tail right now and making himself dizzy.
I always wondered about that kind of thing, folks. When you have the ability to smell really well, do you smell like just how does that work? You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, it's like in video games where you see like waves of things.
because imagine if there's like a lot of like I don't know. This is like a random thing. I'm trying to think if there's like a dump around you, right? You just smell that shit.
Yeah.
So, like
Like,
that
you just-
sucks. Like,
Your nose is just gonna be clogged.
is it like a good power to have? Like,
I imagine it would be like your brain could like filter out, you know, the smells that you want to be perceiving and the ones you don't want to be. Like with our eyes, you don't everything that you're seeing. You know.
Yeah, like when your eyes are moving, like darting back and forth, your brain sort of deletes the parts in between so they don't
Yeah.
get dizzy.
that's how
shit, what
the
were the
scent
episodes?
works. Or
So there
Yeah.
were.
It could. Your
mean, yeah,
brain
it
will
is.
delete certain senses so it doesn't like overwhelm you.
Well, your nose works like that already. Like if you go somewhere where it smells bad, if you stay there for long enough, you won't notice it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So what episodes? There was.
Metamorphosis,
there's
the
Pabu.
Outpost, Pabu, and Tipping Point was the last one from last night, or not last.
I don't
night,
even
but-
remember what happened in last night's episode.
That was where Crosshair was in the.
I just watched it like 30 minutes ago.
That's when
Yeah,
Crosshair
right?
was stuck in Mount Tantus getting tortured, and he managed to get a message out to the group. It's actually
Saying
weird.
execute order 66.
The
and
next
then-
two episodes were the names. Of the next two episodes were mentioned in this episode. I thought that was kind of cool
What was it?
because Tarkin, when he's talking to the one guy, he's like, "Yeah, I'll see you next week at the summit." So that's the next
Uh-huh.
week's episode, and then Plan 99 is the last one.
And then he winks at the camera.
Was it 88?
Oh, 88 or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
God
Plan
damn it, Sam.
99
you
would be
don't know.
way better. Because it's the reverse of 66.
What's all the double number plans?
All these goddamn double numbers.
Plan 11.
I liked at the very beginning that we saw Echo's unit pretty much like going and like
Yeah,
saving-
fucking Gregor's back.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, seeing Echo and his unit doing meaningful stuff made
Hey.
me wish that that's what this show was about.
Hey, Richard,
Hey,
suck my unit.
Honestly, I think that like with us saying like that's what we're wanting. I think that next season is going to be that a lot.
it probably will be, but
I hope so, because like
from a
honestly,
storytelling
it's a better story.
perspective, you can't release a full season of absolute shit and expect people to come back later just because you're like, oh, it's gonna get better, we promise.
Yeah.
She-Hulk did that. Like you just can't do that. Like She-Hulk did that, Rings of Power did that. If what you're putting out isn't quality material, people aren't going to return. I personally have no interest in watching Bad Batch again.
I'm kind of I'm kind of with you where like people focus too much on like the future of a project instead of like what's happening right fucking now.
Right, like I'm having to sit through 30 to 45 minute episodes of just
Like
the most boring shit.
I don't give a shit if your future seasons are going to be the best shit ever. I want this season to be good, you know?
Yeah, and like I can watch some of these episodes, right? And like Outpost was pretty good, and that one I can sit through and be like, this is enjoyable. But the all three of the other episodes, I'm just like, I can't even keep my attention on them because it's most of the time like there are highlights, of course, but through most of the episodes, it's just nothing happening, and
Yeah.
I can't stay engaged with that. Maybe it's my ADHD. Maybe it's just that the story's bad. And like I do understand that like Clone Wars had a lot of that, but Clone Wars also made these missteps so that Bad Batch could do better, and they just didn't. Because I think that like Bad Batch season 2 is pretty similar to like Clone Wars season 2, where it's like, what the hell is this?
I think that like it's kind of hard to gauge like a lot of Clone Wars seasons because it's not really like properly done in that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
how
it is. What are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't released like chronologically, right? Like they didn't like.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
What are you talking about?
It wasn't released chronologically.
Richard, they released the show like a fucking lunatic. That's what they did.
They really did. they had like storylines broken up across different seasons.
I don't recall this being a problem.
That's what that it was.
We all really watched it later, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I when you watch it, like I had to look up like watching like Clone Wars in chronological order, and it'll tell you to like go multi-season like changes.
Regardless, I think that the overall, especially towards the end,
it got more
the
focused
overall
at the end.
Yeah,
focus on
the last
Clone
two
Wars
seasons were definitely more serialized.
It's interesting and impactful. Whereas I feel like 2 seasons into Bad Batch, and it's like I don't understand why any of this matters.
So I looked up Clone Wars in chronological order. The very first episode you're supposed to watch for like chronological order is season 2, episode 16, and then season 1, episode 16.
Yeah, like they
I think
really
it's just
fucking shot that one.
Well, so I watched the episodes going by like a list like this too, but my understanding was the reason that they did this was because the other episodes are just filler.
Well, because
They
it's
don't
all
need
like,
to be
kind of
watched.
randomly like thrown in. Like they'll finish a storyline and be like, "Oh, we can go back to that and do that now" and shit like that, right? It's not like,
Right. It's a lot of that though is because it started off as like a children's show and it was just like an episodic kind of thing. It wasn't until they started to find like they could do a story that they started to focus on that. And my understanding, at least the way that I watched it, was you watch these episodes in this order because everything in between them is unnecessary to the story. It's not that it's out of order. It's that it's just you don't need to watch an episode about chasing around a hut baby. You know, like that's just it doesn't need to be there. It's
think
filler episodes. It's the same as in Bad Batch with the dumb shit pod racing episode. You don't need to watch it.
I'll raise you that like I feel with Clone Wars, it's possibly that like we were building towards something that we were very familiar with, like right away. Like Clone Wars is going to lead into Revenge of the Sith, so we like that's like a pretty pop in moment. But like Bad Batch has like 20 years to get to the next. Or I guess not 20 years. Like they could go into like Solo. That was like 10 years. But like you get what I mean? Like we're not really building towards like a movie event that we like know about. We're just kind of gonna fizzle out into like the 20-year time area. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Like we knew where Anakin in the Clone Wars where that was like developing into, so we would see things and be like, oh, okay, that's actually meaningful towards the movies, where they didn't do that in the movies at all. But in Bad Batch, we don't really have like any connectivity with that. We're just watching characters that we met at the end of Clone Wars and that are going into nothingness.
I think if we're talking about the Bad Batch as like characters interesting to a story, they were at their absolute best and at their absolute peak in the Clone Wars. Beyond that, they kind of suck.
I think that actually, I don't know if I agree because I didn't like their episodes that much. The Clone Wars.
Wild.
Like, I was way more interested in when I heard that they were announcing like the Bad Batch show. I was like, okay, holy fuck, we're gonna see these guys after the Clone Wars. Like that's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
I figured that we'd see them a little bit more in the Empire at the beginning. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that they'd all be a part of the Empire and then all leave. But
what I think this boils down to for me is that as much as I do actually care about like some of the lore repercussions of what happens in Bad Batch, I had to ask myself, do I care about these lore repercussions enough to sit through this boring ass show? And the answer is no, I don't. I can look it up on Wikipedia when it's done because this show sucks. Sorry, dude.
third favorite
like
Star Wars show.
I don't think it sucks, but yeah, I think it's better.
I think I would be more likely to watch a YouTube video that's like 30 minutes long that just details what happened in the season than I would to sit through another season of this show. I'd just rather get like the lore highlights because I do care about the lore. I care a great deal about Star Wars and the lore and what they're doing with it. But the Bad Batch's characters and Omega and what any of this means, I don't give a shit about.
I'm liking it. Like, as much as we shit on it, as much as like we talk down on it, I'm like having a pretty good time with it. But
I think I probably would have 4 episodes ago, you know? Like I didn't feel this way until these last couple of episodes where now it's just like this season's too long. There's too much filler. I don't care about this. And I feel like the Bad Batch should have been a miniseries It should have been like a season that's 6 episodes long, and if there's a season 2, another season that's 6 episodes long, and call it. But making each season like 16 episodes?
Yep, 16.
Making each season 16 episodes is like, okay, so 4 of them are going to be meaningful. The rest of them are just Pabu.
I mean, like, let me like look at the list here. Like, I'll go because I didn't like that Faster episode. I'd say that like the first 3, Spoils of War, Ruins of War, they were on what the fuck's that? Sereno, Count Dooku's planet. That was where we first were like, Tech's gonna die.
Yeah.
Those were okay episodes. The Solitary Clone, that was a really good episode. That was the first Tech one, or the first Crosshair episode. Then we got Faster, which I did not like at all. That's probably my least favorite episode of the season, but
You're a loser.
Entombed, I was okay with that one. Tribe, okay. And then
Entombed fucking sucked.
That episode was
enjoyed
terrible.
Entombed. I was fine with Entombed.
But that's my point though. Is like, yeah, you might like subjectively think that it's an okay episode, but if we're talking about what is impactful and what's meaningful to the story, there are 4 episodes.
Yeah, the Clone Conspiracy, Truth and Consequences, those 2. The Crossing and Retrieval were the weird, like, kind of 2-parter connected ones. Metamorphosis was good. The Outpost, Pabu, and now Tipping Point, yeah. So we've really only had 1, 2... Count that one as 2. So yeah, like 5-ish episodes, yeah.
Yeah, that's like 4, 5 episodes of actual plot and character development, and the rest is just throwaway.
Let me see season 1.
And I think that's what just kind of ruins it for me. Is like, I sit down to watch the show, and it used to be with high expectations, and now it's just, now I feel like I'm playing Russian roulette, where I sit down and I'm like, is this going to be a shit episode, or is this one going to be one that actually means something?
I feel like I can always tell with the thumbnail. Like with the picture that they show for the episode, I'm always like, this is gonna be one of those episodes, eh?
Now I'm hoping that the next 2 episodes are going to be solid. I swear to God, if the next episode is something stupid like a filler episode, I'm going to lose it.
It literally can't be. Like they're doing like the 2-parter thing. It's the last 2 episodes. Like it's gonna mean shit. They're called the Summit and Plan 88 or whatever. Plan 88.
And I think that these will be actually good ones. And I wonder if like the Plan 88 is going to be like dealing with the remainder of the clones. Or I am interested. I'm still interested in what the story that the Bad Batch is trying to tell.
Well, Plan 88 was
don't
just what
watch
Crosshair. I think he just sent that out, right? Like, and that's their like. It was like
they're like distress code.
Yeah, like that. Someone is chasing you. Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So I wonder how that's. I wonder how this season's gonna end. Like, if we get, it's gonna end on sort of a cliffhanger for sure, like the same way that season 1 did. But I'm wondering if we're gonna end on like
it's gonna end with Tech getting stabbed like through the back, and you're like, oh, is he gonna die? And then like we don't know. And then the very next season, he's fine.
He's fine. He gets like a metal chest like from the guy in fucking on Tatooine right now.
Yeah. And like, look, I don't mean to sound like super duper negative, because I am loving The Mandalorian right now. And I'm very interested in what the future of Star Wars is going to be because of the things that they're setting up. And I do mostly like The Bad Batch. I can't sit through 16 episodes of this. I just can't do it again. Give me 5 episodes and I'm fine. These filler episodes, I feel the same way about them here as I did in the Clone Wars, where it's just like, these are skippable. Like when I watch Clone Wars now, there's like 90 episodes that I skip.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's so much shit in that show that I'm like, it's a Padme episode. Get me the fuck out of here.
I feel the same way about The Bad Batch, and it's gotten to I can't believe it's gotten to the point in this show where if the show is following The Bad Batch, it's a skippable episode.
Yeah, that is pretty sad. Like these are the titular characters, and they're doing things that are just not worth watching.
Nope. If it's following Crosshair, I'm all in. It's going to be a good one. It sucks, dude. Like, how do they ruin this?
It would have been cool, actually, if in the first season, everyone died except Crosshair, and it just was his show in the Empire.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing. But there's no way they'd ever do something that adult. My brothers
just died, and like...
Fuck. Like, seeing Crosshair dealing with, like, PTSD and, like... And like imposter syndrome, that would have been sick, but that's way too grown up for Star Wars, dude.
Way too grown up for specifically also animated Star Wars too. Like it's like
yeah,
we're already having to deal with like these tiers of like what we can put into like these these.
Well, I get such
kid
like tonal
shows.
whiplash from these shows. I got the same from Clone Wars, where it's like some episodes are like, this is little kid stuff. And I'm not the kind of like grump that's gonna be like, Star Wars is for me, not for little kids. But
and
like,
there's some episodes where it's like, this is literal genocide.
right, there's other episodes that are dealing with like trauma, and it's like, who is this for? Clone Wars had the same problem with the last season of Clone Wars. Was like there were a couple of episodes with those sisters where it's like, I don't, who gives a shit about these dumb characters, and then there's other episodes where it's like, this is very clearly an adult drama that children would not get, and it gives me such tonal whiplash that I'm like, why I can't
Like,
keep.
who is
I don't
this
want to do
show
this.
for? Like, I don't.
Who is
get
this
it.
for?
Like, it's for like the super Star Wars fans who just watch everything apparently and they'll just fucking consume media. But like, I don't know how long that can get you going. Like, how long is that going to get the overall audience watching the show?
Yeah,
Like, I feel like people. It's so weird, right? Because this, like you're saying, this show is so weirdly focused in that it. I wonder the numbers of people watching it. I wish that they would release that comparatively to like Andor and like Mando. Like,
I think it's got to be low.
it's gotta be low, like comparatively for sure. Like because you're going into niches, right? Where it's like it's Star Wars, it's animated, it's for kids. It's like we're already like narrowing it down so hard.
I feel like, and granted, maybe this isn't the way parenting is handled these days, but like, I feel like if you sit your kid down and have them watch The Bad Batch, and then you see an episode with Crosshair, you'd probably be like, oh, I don't think this is for my 5-year-old. You know, like.
I mean, most 5-year-olds are watching Coco Melon and not like Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's like who. This
And man,
this
my
show,
5-year-old's gonna be watching Star Wars.
My 5-year-old's gonna be watching Alien.
This show has elements of it that are just way over the heads of like anyone under like teenage years,
Yeah.
and I don't think any teenagers are watching this.
I mean, like, I think that there probably are like that are like Star Wars fans like us, like that.
Nah, dude, teenagers are watching TikTok, dude. They're not watching Bad Batch.
I mean, I don't know.
Nah, dude, I don't think teenagers watch
There's
TV.
like, because I mean, I think that there are always going to be people in like age ranges that are doing not what the rest of them are doing. Like, I don't know. I did not really follow a whole lot of the trends when I was a teen in school and shit like that. I still don't have Snapchat because I think that shit's stupid.
Anyway, I hope the next 2 episodes are good.
I think they will be. All right, we are going to raid into TO-. They are playing Last of Us Part 1, no damage, no explosives.
McClunky.
How were you guys born?
What?
In what
What?
way were you guys born? Were you born in like a special way, like weird way? I was born 3 times actually.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. My dog is going crazy right now beneath my desk. So
Well, thanks for dropping that weird bomb on
thank
us.
you
In
for
this
So I was
sharing
born-
literally
I was
nothing.
born 3 times. So first time, I actually had a vestigial twin attached to me as a baby. So they had to cut open my mom, take me out, cut off the baby, and put me back in. So the second time I was born was actually because I was actually the vestigial baby, and they put the wrong one in. So they took me out again, put the other one in.
What?
And the third time,
He's lying.
they actually see my mom at this point was so deflated that like she couldn't push, you know. So they actually roll. So they had to like like a bag of chips, if you like push like clap the one in, or like a paper bag. Like that's sort of what they did with my mom, where they just like sort of just squished one side and then just out the other side, you know?
Are you ad-libbing this? Like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ! Like, I feel like you're reading off of something. It's like it's so
You know-
perfect.
What you just said was still more interesting than anything that's happened in season 2. Of Bad Batch.
Hey, look at that! He brought it back around. Oh man! All
Anyway,
right,
McClunky.
everybody. McClunky.
McClunky!
We'll see you next time.